Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Investing Bros. We got a great show lined up for you guys today. Maybe not as much TA, especially after that phenomenal episode yesterday with Magic Internet Money. After the show is over, if you have not watched it, go back and watch because he made a lot of great points. We did have a little bit of a dip yesterday afterwards, so we will check on the charts, let you know what is happening there. But we got some headlines that we've got to cover, one of which, Jamie Dimon is now once again calling Bitcoin a fraud. Very ironic. We're going to cover the history of Jamie Dimon and Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about, is this actually potentially a bottom signal for Bitcoin? Also, everyone's favorite exchange, Bitzlato, is now gone. So sorry about that, guys. It actually turns out it was a front for criminal activity, and the DOJ is doing their job very hard. They're cracking down on crypto. That's one of the bad guys out of this space. I know a lot of you are brokenhearted because that was your favorite exchange. And if you have not picked up on my tone just yet, I am joking.
Bit of sarcasm.
Who the heck knows what that is? But you know what? Good for the DOJ. They're doing something in the world of crypto. There's other headlines we're going to talk about here in just a second. But if you have not already and you are excited for this show, go ahead and smash that like button, that four-fingered mitten. If it is still looking gray on your computer, something is wrong. Go ahead and turn that one white. And we will get going here in just a second. We got over 25 people watching right now. Only 17 of those mittens, though. Let's get those numbers up. I am joined by my great co-host, T. Shroom. How are you doing this morning, my friend?
I'm doing really well, Tim. I really appreciate you asking me that.
Good. I try to ask it every morning, you know.
Yeah. I just realized you do. You do ask me that every morning. Well, because of that, I've got a quote set up here. And this isn't just any quote. This is Ernest Hemingway from Florida. I don't know if he's from Florida, but he's known for living down in the Keys.
Yeah.
Check it out. The world breaks everyone, and afterwards, some are strong at the broken places. So keeping it real and keeping it inspiring today. Anybody out there who's feeling down and out,
yeah,
let those obstacles, let that suffering make you stronger.
Sounds good. Sounds good, man.
And Bitzlato, when you're feeling down, and you're feeling like the cards are stacked against you, you're going to rise up stronger. Right?
No, not in this case. I don't think that that's going to apply to them.
Even if crypto influencers on YouTube, like Tim TA, says you can't get back up, you get right back up. Because that's what Ernest Hemingway said.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. You know, before we get going this morning, I did have a question. I had a poll on Twitter. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, which you absolutely should if you do not, at Tims_TA. You can also follow T Shroom at T Shroom over there on Twitter. But yesterday I asked people, and we're going to get into, a little bit of workout thing before we jump back into crypto. I'm interesting question I have for T Shroom, being in the military. Obviously, I don't know how much weight training is mandated in the military, but I think you do a little bit of it. What qualifies as a squat, T-Shroom, and then also the rest of the community? What qualifies as a squat? And there's three options here, and I've heard all three of them be justified. And before you say, Tim, the first two options are the same, they're not. First option, is it just a 90-degree angle of the knees? Second option, is it thighs parallel with the floor? Or the third option, is it as low as you can go? Some people call it ass to grass. And again, people are going to clip that right there because Tim does not use foul language very often, but that's the expression. Pretty much what that means is when your thighs hit your calves and you literally cannot bend your knees anymore. Which is the proper squat in your opinion, T-Shroom?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Tim. Yeah. I always have this ready to go. This is the official Army study guide for the squat bender, which is, if anybody's been in the Army, they will know that the squat bender is one of the exercises you do for PRT. And the squat is defined as, on a one count, bending the knees, lowering yourself to a half squat position while maintaining balance on the balls of the feet, with the trunk inclining slightly forward, thrust the arms forward to shoulder level with the elbows locking and the palms facing down, fingers and thumb extended and joined.
What the heck?
Now, what I'll say is that's incorporating a hand extension. That is the squat bender. But you asked me as a military man, and you're going to get a military answer. That's all I know when it comes to exercises, what the military has told me. So that's a squat.
What the heck? That is not a squat.
Well, you tell the Army that.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yes. The correct answer, if anyone was wondering, is lowest possible you can go. Thighs to the calves. That's overall healthier for your knees, better muscle contraction in the quads and glutes. But if you want to go with whatever T-Shroom just highlighted there, that wasn't even one of the options. But yeah, let's go with it. Okay, let's go back into crypto. This went in a direction I didn't think it was going to go. T-Shroom, what are some other headlines other than DOJ going after Bitzlato and Jamie Dimon? What else are we talking about today?
I still reserve my right to mention those headlines.
Yeah.
Even though you just dismissed them in my intro here. The headlines are: Cosmos decks Osmos to make cross-chain trades more efficient with Neon upgrade. We're going to cover that one briefly. Hong Kong exchange Bitzlato seized and founder arrested. Tim, you probably haven't heard of it yet.
True.
And Genesis bankruptcy filing imminent as creditor negotiations stall. And then the last one, well, not the last one, CoinDesk could be up for grabs as parent company DCG scrambles for funds. And then we've got a couple more about Jamie Dimon. We're going to get into his kind of his background and maybe why his words and his opinions maybe, should be discounted. Maybe shouldn't be.
We even have a private story. We have a friend who knows people that work in corporate JP Morgan who have thoughts on the issue as well. So we're not going to say any names because we don't want anyone fired. But we know some stories that happen behind closed doors over there at JP Morgan. So
that's right. They're a bunch of goobers over there sometimes.
It's true.
As we will find out in the later half of the show. Don't miss it.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and read. Let's see who is here this morning. Read some names in chat, and then we'll jump in with a little bit of TA. Probably going to end TA a little early, get into those stories because we got some interesting conversation going on over there. T-Shroom did steal the thunder, being the first one in chat, but I'm not going to count it. He has a little bit of an advantage because he's the one who posts when we go live. So he can literally post it, just switch his account, and then go in there and comment. So we're going to go with the real first comment. Curtis Rorick saying, boom. The only thing that would have made that better if he had added sauce in there. Boom sauce is for sure a great, what do you call those things when you just say random?
Onomatopoeia?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I mean, look at the military definition of, okay, let's keep going.
Boom is definitely onomatopoeia.
Curtis Rorick, of course, was first. Mr. J is here this morning. Yair Navarro. Mr. J says he's thinking about changing his name every day. Something hard to pronounce just to keep Tim on his toes. That's true, but then we'll just never know Mr. J. I guess what I'll just say, if there's a name I can't pronounce, I'm going to assume it's Mr. J from here on out. And now I'm going to start misidentifying other people, and they're going to think that I'm crazy, that I call them Mr. J. So maybe that's not the greatest idea in the world. We will see. Maybe maybe Mr. J, if you keep Mr. J in there, or put in parentheses J, but then a name that's hard to pronounce, we'll know it's you, and it'll be a fun little thing. CBD Study is here. Brian Hoskins is here. I saw on Twitter Brian Hoskins was saying he was going to try to be first, but he's like, I wasn't even close. It is hard. It is hard because sometimes even YouTube, especially with a channel that are as small as us, they sometimes make it hard to find us.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. Let's see here. Who else is here? Here to Learn saying good morning, bros, and Hokie Nation here. So special shout out to Here to Learn. Not only is that a great name because I'm also here to learn, but if he's a Hokie, come on. Crypto Mini Bike is here. Cryptex, one of our moderators, is in chat. Shout out to him. Grand Roofing Incorporated, Justin Eubanks. Let's see here. Crypto Trades is in the building. Mr. Bitcoin is here. Crypto AI is here. A Mellow Fellow, Joe Watkins, Al Bundles, Adam Delgado, Brad Geidel. Oh, that Delgado and Brad Geidel almost rhymes there. Eric Wallen is here. Servando Estrada. Munchies14.
Servando.
Love it. Tatted Grizzly is here saying the bottom is in his opinion. Well, guess what? Now, with this Jamie Dimon information, maybe that's further confirmation of that. Gia S is here. World's best health coach. Well, okay. World's best health coach. What did you think of T-Shroom's definition of a squat? Please let us know in chat. Mitch Shaw is here. Seek and Hunt is also here. Henry C. Hernandez. Chris C. Let's see. Jojo, Wind Peoples. That's not two different people, by the way. Josh Denham, V Slim. But I don't want to miss anybody.
I've got some breaking news once we're
Eric Brubaker, Ninja Glock, and Crimson Caravan Company, and Elo Brown. Sorry, almost missed Elo Brown.
Crypto AI asked a question. Why does the military get to decide what a Y squad is? And the answer is simple. We have the nukes.
The National Guard has the nukes?
The Army. Well, he didn't ask about the National Guard. He said the Army, which I actually don't know what department is in charge of the nukes. It may actually be the Navy.
True.
But my guess is that it's both, the Army and the Navy.
I have no idea.
But not the Air Force.
Here's what I do know. They don't know what a squad is. So, the military still has room to improve.
Well, we've got some breaking news.
Thank you to everyone for their service, but they need to improve their fitness knowledge.
We've got some breaking news here, Tim.
Yeah.
The New Zealand Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern.
Well, there's an N in there, so it's Jacinda. Or Jacinda, but I don't think Jacinda is the right way to say it.
Jacinda. Anyway, she is leaving office. She stepped down, and the reason that she gave is that it's time, and she no longer had enough in the tank. So this woman here, she's saying that she's got not enough left in the tank, but we're to believe that this guy here has plenty left in the tank. Left.
Did you see him kneel for the picture with the Golden State Warriors?
I did not.
He is spry.
He's a spry.
Listen, getting down on your knee in a suit. Listen, that's not easy. So
it's tough.
I think Joe's got another 18 years left in him.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, steroids are getting a little more expensive these days, but you never know. You never know. We'll leave it there, guys. If you want that conversation to keep going on, you're gonna love the Patreon, because we're going to be launching that very soon. So stay tuned for the announcements.
Yes.
The political commentary will go a little bit further, and we're not going to get too crazy with one side or the other. We'll keep it normal. We'll keep it straight and level headed. Don't worry.
Well, it is 9/11. We usually get to TA a little bit before this. Crypto Trade says Grandpa got plenty left in the tank, falling off of bikes. Hey, listen, but he got back up.
He got back up.
A lot of people fall off bikes. How many of us get back up?
What did Ernest Hemingway say this morning?
Yeah. I think Biden is an avid reader of Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. When you get knocked down, you get back up, and the broken pieces are stronger. When
you choose the wrong door to walk into a building, it's just, okay, we're going to keep moving on. Let's go ahead and jump onto the charts here. T-Shroom. A couple interesting things that I did see, like literally as we were going live, so I wasn't able to collect them. I did see an article over here by you today, which I got the one. No, it's not. News Bitcoin, saying that some of this drop that we had yesterday, we'll talk about it in a little bit, came from a minor outflow surge. And so I won't go into detail because I didn't have time to break it down, but this chart was just showing some upticks in miners putting money onto exchanges, which makes a lot of sense. It's been a long time since they've been able to take profit comfortably, and yet they needed to keep the lights on. So we'll continue to watch as that develops. That sometimes is actually a good sign when we see them taking profit. With capitulation stuff happening there. But we'll keep you guys posted when more stuff comes out on that. But like I said, Bitcoin, after hitting some highs more recently, again, definitely highs for January, all the way up above 21,600, we did reject. Some of that I did think had to do with the news, and we'll talk more about Bitzlato. I think that the DOJ kind of hyped that up to levels that really didn't deserve necessarily. Do you agree with that, T-Shroom?
Oh, we can go in depth on the Bitzlato
we'll go
thing.
Depth. But my whole point is they made it sound like they had this massive breaking news coming, and then they came out and said that they busted Bitzlato. So the market dipped a little bit. You can go back to my chart now. The market dipped a little bit after that, and then it's kind of hesitating this morning. Here's the thing, though. I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing in the world for us to go ahead and come down. I put a post out yesterday, but you guys who have been watching the show every single day for the last couple of weeks know that I've been talking about this zone right here between 19,600 and 19,000. I think it would make a lot of sense to come down to those levels. Of course, this was a level we used as strong support here a couple of months ago. And I believe also when you pull up our fixed range volume profile, you're going to see this be a nice little pocket. Yes, so we're coming down here towards the bottom of this peak up, and the peak of it is this little valley. You guys know we've been talking about that with fixed range volume profile. The two most important parts are the valleys and the peaks. So watch that zone. And of course, again, just in case you guys have not been watching recently, the reason why this level is kind of important and would be a very awesome level to come back down to is not only would that regroup and allow you guys to buy lower price on Bitcoin, but also it would make a pretty nice little right shoulder for our inverse head and shoulders pattern right here with our left shoulder, our head, and then again with our right shoulder. That was a terrible drawing of the head. What the heck? It would make a nice little inverse head and shoulders pattern for us that would give us a price prediction up above 25,000. Let's just go ahead and redraw that in case any of you guys did not see that. Let's go ahead and give this a flat line. Even though technically the wicks go a little above, we're going to stay conservative with it. Let's just give it a flat level of a neckline, and then we take the bottom of the head all the way up to said neckline and move it over to a potential breakout point. If Wow, it's so out of screen. I have to adjust this. It's so high up here. This price right here, this inverse head and shoulders pattern could take us all the way up towards 27,400. If you guys were watching yesterday, Kagan, known as Magic Internet Money, discussed the potential of getting back up to its former support levels, turned resistance up towards 28,000. The 27 would kind of hit some of these wicks down here almost. But keep your eyes there. Be very interesting. He agreed with me. And I always love when I find great technical analysts that also agree with me because it makes me feel better. He agreed with me that what we're kind of looking at here to confirm a bottom is potentially would be a break above and a hold above 25,000. So this would be very bullish, not only because, great place to take some profit, but also could be a very good sign that we're not going to see a lower price than 15,500. Doesn't mean we won't pull back to 20,000 at some point. Like, I very realistically, let's just say this ends up happening. Let's say that our price action goes up to this $27,000 level. I could easily see us coming back down towards 20,000, but then what we're doing is we're starting to slowly but surely set higher highs, higher lows. That's what a bull market wants to have. We'll see. There's a lot still to unpack this year with economics. I still am sitting in the camp. As much as I love this, I would love to see this happen. Even if we get this right shoulder, that's not necessarily an 100% confirmation that we're going to see 27,000. If you guys have been following TA for a while, there have been a couple times where we've seen these inverse head and shoulders patterns, or even head and shoulders patterns, not play out their full potential. Technical analysis is not about getting everything 100% correct. It's about probabilities. The probability of us getting up to 27,000 if the price action follows this is higher than maybe to the downside, but it's not anything like a guarantee. Let's take a closer look though, and let's look at what's happening right now. The reason why I think this dip is happening, and why it's not necessarily out of the question. Like, if people thought we were going to keep going up, I don't know what they were looking on the charts. Let's pull up our RSI, where we discussed this the other day, but we hit the other day at 89. So I'll go ahead. I think we hit 90, and then the price came back down, so we didn't quite close out the 90 on the RSI. We hit an 89 on the RSI on the daily chart. Just for some historical data on that, we don't hit that level very often. The last time we hit it was right here back during the bull run of January of 2021, and then before that it was towards the end of the bottom of the bear market back in 2019. Either way, this does not happen very often. It's nice to go ahead and regroup, but what we're already starting to see with our RSI, sorry guys, trying to get us back where we want to be. What we're already starting to see is the RSI is outpacing the price action when it comes to the fall, and you see this more clearly on the 4-hourly chart. So taking a look right here, let me go ahead and auto this. There we go. Look at how fast the RSI is dropping in comparison to the price action. We're already starting to develop and set up some nice little continuation bullish divergence patterns. Look at this RSI peak back here that matches with the price action of 17,300. We just came back down towards the 50, and yet we're still hovering right we're still above 20,000 itself. So I don't think that we're yet done with this. I think we might even have a little further to go, but just as I predicted when we're talking about this, yes, we peaked out on RSI. We went 93 on the 4-hourly chart. We went to 89 on the daily chart. But just as I was predicting, we're going to see divergence start to form. So, for example, while we did get some bearish divergence here on the 4-hourly chart, you guys have noticed the peaks kept climbing, yet the peaks kept falling here. Going back to the daily chart, we did not get our bearish RSI divergence necessarily. Some people are going to compare this point and this point, but I have other reasons I talked about in a different video to say that I'm not going to necessarily use that point just yet. I'm still waiting for wow, just had like something go in my throat. I'm still waiting for bearish divergence out on the daily chart. Oh, you're just switching to yourself there randomly.
I felt pretty in
there
that
you go.
moment.
You know, from time to time when you want to, go ahead and show yourself. You have great face when I'm doing TA. All right, so let's keep moving on here. I would not be surprised to see the price drop down to these levels like we're talking about, and then come to higher levels. Even if we don't get to 27, another level we talked about the other day was mid 3,000. So now I'm gonna change the sheet here a little bit. We talked about the mid 23,000s as a potential level, and in that same timeline, don't be surprised if we see the RSI come down even further, and then when it gets back up to these levels, it's not as high, and we set up our bearish divergence of peaks. We don't get back up to 89, and that's our cue to go ahead and head to the downside. So keep yourself on the charts. Keep your eyes on the charts for Bitcoin. Anything is technically still possible here, but it's happening kind of similar to what I expected. We got overextended to the upside. That's fine. We're going to retrace at a higher low, and then we're going to be setting up bearish divergence down the road where probably we do not get our RSI back up to 89, but we get the price way higher. Let me know in chat what you guys think. We're going to be transitioning here to stories very quickly. I just wanted to show you guys what I saw on Bitcoin, but let's take a quick look at Ethereum, Cardano, and maybe a couple other coins and just give small observations there.
Let's do it.
Ethereum is sitting here after breaking through a former support level that was turned to resistance. It's hovering right there in the middle of them. Not going to be surprised to see Ethereum drop back down towards 14.4. I don't think we're going to come all the way back down to the former resistance level of the ascending triangle. I think that we're going to probably end up finding support somewhere on this second level of rising support. We have a couple wicks here. The wick that had the big dip back in June, and then another wick that dropped here in October. Those are the strong levels of support, and then you saw that that same line was used as resistance several times. So I'm not going to be surprised to see us drop back down to about that level for Ethereum as we're seeing a little bit of a dip come into the market. When it comes to Cardano, we have to zoom in on this one. This is not surprising to me either. I think that what we're seeing happen right here with Cardano in this dip is just what I expected. I don't think we're done yet. We have a green candle technically on the day, but I'm not going to be surprised to see us drop back down below 32, come down into the 31-cent region, find support on this lower level of former resistance now turned to support. And you guys see the significance of this line. Even though we have two lines drawn here, this bottom line was the original peak right here back in June. Yes, we broke through here in August, but then it was rejection on that line here September, also in November. So watch as we're breaking through and we're turning resistance into support. We turn the last level into strong support right there, and then Cardano is able to blast. I'm looking at this on Cardano. Last thing I'll say here, we have that prediction from the Cardano community saying 49 cents by the end of January. I'm going to be very surprised if we end up hitting that, guys. But I'm not going to be surprised if we hit that in February. I just think January 31st is a little too soon. We got less than 2 weeks now to get to those levels. So anything is still possible. But I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, Cardano community, good shot, good try. You're not going to quite get there. We'll get there a little bit later on in quarter one. Before a bigger dip comes in late quarter one, potentially even early quarter two. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pause on it right there. It's 9:21. There's not necessarily a whole lot else you're going to see. Once you kind of seen what Bitcoin's chart is doing, you're going to get a good picture of almost everything else. Just expect pullbacks to support levels, and in other content, and maybe in the future, this is what we're going to be doing on Patreon and in that Discord is we will go in. If you guys go in there and say, hey, Tim, what's happening over on Litecoin? Hey, Tim, what's happening on Algo? Hey, Tim, what's happening on AVAX? We'll post some charts and some TA over in that Discord. So make sure when that happens, you guys are ready to go, and information on that will be coming out very soon. We're getting to you guys as soon as possible, but we don't want to get it to you broken or not working because we know how frustrating that can be. So stay patient. Keep posting on that. It'll come out very soon. T-Shroom. Let's go ahead and jump in to some of these headlines because we got a lot to discuss here, a lot to break down and talk about with chat.
We're going to get to the headlines, Tim, but let me really quickly show you guys a trade that I posted on Twitter yesterday. This is a trade that I took and that I'm still in, and I can show you guys that right now. So essentially, on the screen here is Biddy. We've covered it before, but if you're new, Biddy can it's not a crypto, okay? It's an ETF. It's a reverse ETF of Bitcoin, okay? So it's a way to short Bitcoin without getting into options and getting into the futures. Okay, so the yellow line is my entry. Okay, so my average entry is $30.82. And these prices mean nothing to you. They're not anything like 21,000 Bitcoin or 19,000, these levels that we talk about. These are completely fresh, totally different prices, okay? But my stop loss is at $30.39. So pretty tight here because this could infinitely go down because it's a reverse ETF. So if Bitcoin, became legal tender in the US, I would be totally screwed in this position, which is why I put a stop loss. Okay. So just something to think about. We'll be tracking this trade, and we'll be tracking the trades of other creatures in our dwelling here soon enough too. A little hint, a little foreshadowing of what may be to come. And guys, if you ever wanted to trade Biddy, the reverse ETF or any ETF, all you got to do is go into our description right here and click on the Robinhood link and set up, and I'll get a free stock and you'll get a free stock. It's probably not going to be Biddy, but it'll be like Amazon or Apple or something like that. Something fun, something fresh. All you got to do is go down to the description and click that link in Robinhood, and you'll be off to the races in your stock trading career, your equity trading career. And guess what, guys? You can trade a lot of cryptos on there too. There's almost up to like 50 cryptos on there, and you can send and receive them too. It acts as a wallet in that way. Let's get into the stories, guys, because there's a decent amount of them. Cosmos DEX Osmos to make cross-chain trades more efficient with Neon upgrade. Gets down into the nitty-gritty here quite quickly, so we're not going to go through the whole article, but in short, the upgrade, which is scheduled to take place on January 23rd, 1600 UTC. This is the main meat and potatoes of the upgrade, guys. It's TWAP. It's a time-weighted average pricing. Will we do a video on that to kind of break down that a little bit more, why that's important? Probably, because that could be a pretty big innovation in crypto, and especially over on the Atom, in the Atom ecosystem. Hong Kong exchange Bitzlato seized, founder arrested. Yikes, this was huge news yesterday, and it fizzled out into a nothing burger, but I have some lingering opinions on it, and Tim and I will maybe get a little bit of convo going here on this, but first let's get into the details. Anatoly Legkadyamov has a really good name, but...
I'm thinking that might be Mr. J.
Yeah.
I think he changed his name over there just to trip us up.
It could be. But other than having a really hard to pronounce name, he was the founder of Hong Kong registered crypto exchange Bitzlato, and he was arrested in Miami on Wednesday and charged with allegedly running an unregistered money transmitting business that flouted anti-money laundering laws and facilitated illicit fund transmission. The U.S. Department of Justice announced yesterday on January 18th. Now, I'll start off the convo with, I didn't realize that there were criminals living in Miami. I thought everybody in Florida was kind of just a law-abiding citizen, but now they're telling me that there's people down in Miami who are committing fraud. So, yeah, pretty crazy stuff. It was
surprising to me. You know, every time I've ever gone to Miami, I've been very warmly welcomed.
Yeah.
You know, I have not felt the need to wear zipper pockets on my pants until more recently.
Okay.
So it's been a shocker.
I'm guessing that the zipper pockets were something that stood out to you in your experience in Miami. Guys, I feel like this headline, while it fizzled out into a nothing burger and the memes overtook it, because, you know, essentially what this was it was a really small exchange, and to the extent that the DOJ felt like they were solving money laundering issues, it was very limited, their actual damage that they're doing to the money laundering industry. So that's kind of my take, is it's like, you know, it fizzled out into a nothing burger. But here's the thing, is that the government is still showing that they are trying. They are pursuing these fraudulent and criminal exchanges. And what I should say is that allegedly criminal exchanges. We don't know yet. They still got to go to court, but it doesn't look good for them. Say that.
The thing that it cracks us up here in the crypto community is, and I'm sure if you guys are following on crypto Twitter, almost every single influencer made pretty much the same joke. I felt like my joke was a little different. I was proud of it, but the joke was, "Who the heck is Bitzlato?" You know, like who are these guys? Good for the DOJ. My joke, by the way, if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, I was saying this is the next excuse for SBF. His next interview, that he's going to blame Bitzlato for crashing FTX. But here's what they did. The DOJ did want to come out as if they have control of crypto. And we got to remember, those of us who are tightly knit in the crypto community, we're all of the same opinion. We're like, who the crap is Bitzlato? Never heard of them. You know, but people that are not in crypto, who think that crypto is a scam or think that crypto is fishy, they don't know that Bitzlato is not that well known. So they're going to be like, I told you that crypto was fraudulent. I told you that that's just a one big scam. And the DOJ is finally putting an end to it. So the DOJ wasn't trying to impress any crypto enthusiasts. They were trying to impress themselves, give themselves a good name in the light of the public. And remember, at this point, I think the most aggressive numbers I found was, they said 27% of the United States citizens have invested in some sort of crypto one way or the other. More than likely, a lot of that is in NFTs. But there's still a massive majority of American citizens who really don't know anything about crypto. So to them, seeing that headline, they're impressed with it. They think that's a major ordeal. They think that was a great find. Those of us in the know, however, know that was absolutely stupid and mostly a political and it was, what do you call it? A stunt. It's a stunt,
but I think that there is something more. And we've been showing these funny memes, but this one particularly kind of exemplifies exactly what you were just saying. But here's the deal, guys, is that the Department of Justice, they're still they're still going after it.
Publicity stuff.
And I've been studying the regulation of crypto this last week pretty in depth. And what I'll say is that the fact that they're still going after it and not banning crypto is a good thing. They're not banning it because at the end of the day, like, they cannot get ahead of this, of blockchain technology. It's the anonymity and the difficulty to be able to look into things like Tornado Cash and that kind of technology. Guys, there's a bunch of those anonymous, like, privacy coins, or just straight up blockchain that isn't necessarily trying to be anonymous, but because of the nature of the technology, it makes it very difficult for regulators and law enforcement to go after them. And they're up to their eyes in the fraud that comes out of the crypto industry. And so it would kind of make sense for them, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are calling for a ban, like what China did, but they can't really do that either technologically. But the fact that they're continuing to go after it is a good sign to me, because it means that they're not giving up. That's the big thing. So they're not giving up, and they are probably getting better. Their methods are becoming more practiced as more and more agents of the FBI or whoever is, or CIA or Department of Justice, whoever's going after it, they're getting better and better. And, we would do well as the crypto community, I think, to continue to, we make memes and we make fun of it, and that's not going to stop. I think we need to continue to do that, but we would do well to not identify it as a complete nothing burger, because it is actually it's moving in the right direction.
T-Shirt, I think you're being very optimistic, and I love it. I just have the very opposite opinion. I hear what you're saying. You're trying to be optimistic. You're trying to be positive. You're trying to say, hey, they're trying to make efforts. Listen, this is timing. This is all about timing. Remember, we discussed this a couple weeks on the show. Most other years when you get around Thanksgiving table, if we're in a bull market, everyone wants you to shut up about crypto. When it's in a bear market, they want to make fun of you. Yeah. Well, what was the main discussion this year around Thanksgiving and Christmas family dinners if crypto came up? It was all about Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. Yeah. Most people know what's happening there. They don't know the details, but they understand one of the largest crypto exchanges. They understand that. They found out it was a complete fraud. They arrested the CEO. There's going to be a whole thing. The DOJ knows that. And so to come up with, I'm not going to go as far as to say they made the whole thing up, but who the freak is Bitzlato? Like, you can't say with absolute certainty that they weren't just made up so the DOJ looked good, because the public now knows, watch out for toxic, fraudulent crypto exchanges. Oh, look at that. The DOJ just took one down. They're going to try to make it as nice as possible so that they look good. And CBD Study just put this, I don't know if someone else said it, I think it's a great observation there, is that he says that's exactly it. They want the public to trust them more when they drop a CBDC. Again, I love the positivity. I love you're trying to say, like, let's look on the bright side of things. But the timing of this is nothing short of fishy and weird to me. I think it's a nothing burger in the sense of it doesn't hurt crypto right now, but I think it is a little bit of okay, we need to look deeper, dig deeper into some more details here to find out if there's some ulterior motives going on.
Yeah, potentially. So take a look at this, though. This is a funny one. This I don't know that it's a meme.
Oh my gosh.
So there's all kinds of silliness going on out there. But guys, let's get back into some more of these stories here. It's definitely high time for a couple of these headlines to come into fruition here. Genesis bankruptcy filing imminent as creditor negotiations stall. Now, you may have heard of Genesis. It is the wholly owned subsidiary of DCG, which is a very big company in the crypto space. It has been for a long time. It owns the likes of CoinDesk and Foundry and Grayscale, and we'll get into some of that here in just a second because there's another big headline. But Genesis first warned of its bankruptcy in November after it suspended client withdrawals following the collapse of cryptocurrency exchange FTX. So Genesis had what was something like in the ballpark of $130 million tied up in FTX, and they're more than likely not getting that back. And if they do, it's going to be pennies on the dollar, and it won't be for many years. So that's not good. But Genesis going ahead and finally, I don't think that they've completely declared it yet, but the filing is imminent as a creditor negotiation stall. So people close to the matter are going ahead and calling it. And what does that mean for DCG? We do not know yet. But what I will say is that Genesis was the one that was it was the in kind of the scheme that was going on between between Genesis and Grayscale, and what they were doing with GBTC, Gemini was getting totally screwed. And to the extent that they were in control of that, and they weren't just basically agents of Barry Silbert up at DCG, we don't know. We don't know how much they were getting involved, how much the people of Genesis were getting kickbacks versus the entity. But I mean, I fully expected Genesis to file for bankruptcy at some point, because it was basically this shell. It started off not as that, because it got acquired by DCG, but it eventually became this shell of a company that seemed legitimate because it had a great brand, but it was just taking in loans and then funneling it through Three Arrows Capital, which was then funneling it into Grayscale, pumping up DCG, and there was also some arbitrage going on there as well. And so at the end of the day, though, Genesis was not getting almost any kind of net gain from the potential commingling of funds and arbitrage that was going on. All of the benefit was going to Grayscale by getting more Bitcoin in their in their trust, not an ETF, a trust, and also DCG was getting also profits from that arbitrage. To some extent, you could make the argument that Genesis was getting fees, but I think more than likely the fees were actually going up to DCG as well. But that is something to be determined by the courts. Everything I've just said is, from the ground of the internet. That everything I know is just from research. I don't know any insiders or anything like that on that. Well, let's keep going. CoinDesk, another subsidiary of DCG, could be up for grabs as parent company DCG scrambles for funds. Here we go. CoinDesk has sought the help of investment bankers from financial advisory firm Lazard, who are helping the firm weigh options, including a full or partial sale. Charles Hoskinson has weighed in with this very funny gif here of Batman thinking and pondering. He said, I just realized CoinDesk is for sale. So maybe Charles Hoskinson will scrape up the funds like Elon Musk did with Twitter and buy up CoinDesk. Maybe. We shall see. But Barry Silbert, DCG, appears to be in serious financial strife recently and announced to shareholders on January 17th that it would be halting dividends in an effort to strengthen its balance sheet and preserve liquidity. Guys, you only halt dividends if you're really in trouble. Now, there's some companies that never issued dividends because they're in a growth phase, and that's another thing entirely. But if you're a company that is known for issuing dividends to investors and then all of a sudden you stop, not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. So DCG, I find it hard to believe that they would file bankruptcy. If they did, it would definitely be Chapter 11 restructuring. But I think that more than likely, the toxicity that was under the DCG umbrella will go out with Genesis. Whoever buys up those assets, however that gets sorted out. So that's kind of my take. Do we want to look at the market open now?
Well, what I was going to say, when we're looking at the DCG, Genesis, everything, just so people understand, price will get volatile, price will move around, but in reality, this is not surprising anybody. Everybody knew that Genesis was going down. We even know that DCG is going down. I've seen a lot of people fear-mongering and saying, what happens if DCG goes down? If the price drops to new lows, DCG will probably be used as the scapegoat, the excuse. But in reality, nobody's buying new. Like, people are not going in and getting new shares in Genesis. People are not buying, and not, when I say shares, I mean people aren't using Genesis as an exchange and trying to get new stuff.
No.
It going down will not crash the market. It will be the excuse that the whales and institutions will utilize to say, oh, no, look, the market's going down. We didn't know, so that they don't look bad. But this is the stuff that Wyckoff talks about. Wyckoff, when people talk about the Wyckoff accumulation phase and distribution phase, people almost forget his main teaching was there is a entity that he calls the composite man, that is the whales, the institutions, the smart money, that what they will manipulate things and release information or let the charts do things on information and then blame it on it so that nobody points the fingers at them. But in reality, they're manipulating price action and they're trying to do it as legally as possible so that they can get their buy spots and their sell spots. That's why a lot of times when you see positive news, like, and we're going to talk more about this with Jamie Dimon, this will come back up, but when you see stuff like negative news, a lot of times that's actually getting close to a bottom. And when you see positive news, that's actually getting close to a top. But what they're going to do is say, oh, everything was so positive, and then the price crashes because they sold and took profits. And then be like, oh, well, it was DCG. Oh, it was Genesis going down. That's the reason why the market crashed. And in reality, no, they were going to crash the market no matter what. They just found the most convenient story and they let it happen at the right times to happen. So don't be fooled. The Genesis going down is not a big deal. It's not that big of a deal. It's been priced in. The market knows it's happened. That's not going to stop the price from dropping. However, the price is going to drop, I believe, because I think whales are going to say, all right, take some profit. Let's go back down and gobble up more supply lower, all the while confusing and flooding out the retail investor.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and check out our market open here briefly, because we do want to talk about our cover story of Jamie Dimon. But ultimately here, guys, we do want to check out the energy markets because we want to track a holistic picture of the markets in general as we kind of trudge into a recession and potentially an elongated bear market here in cryptocurrencies. Natural gas up 0.6. You are starting to see strong argumentation for natural gas bottoming here, finding a bottom. I do not need to be on the 1 hour chart, pardon me. But as you can see here, definitely still has a lot of momentum to the downside, but it has been kind of ticking through the Lux Algo bottom reversal cloud. So you should, in theory, be seeing a reversal here in natural gas.
Pull up the Bollinger Bands out of curiosity.
Fairly soon. Ooh, I would. Let's see.
Do you have Bollinger Bands on there?
I don't have them set up rapidly enough to where I can just pull them up. But
I think you just put Bollinger
Bands
down
analysis, maybe.
No. All right. I'll look at it a little bit later.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if that broke out of the Bollinger Bands, then I would expect a good reversal. If it's within Bollinger Bands, then you could keep going down. But if it broke out, like if it dropped below the low level of, like we have wicks below, there's a good chance that you're actually seeing a reversal come in.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Usually Bollinger Bands are easy to put up, but
what's the ticker symbol for natural gas?
UNG.
Yeah.
So here they are. But I got to get that, of course. All right. So let's keep moving on here. Oil. So interesting. So it is tested this new line of resistance that it broke down through back in late November. It tested that and got rejected, and now has come back down. And it got a strong buy signal here from Lux Algo a couple days ago on the 17th, and also the trend tracer turned green. Interesting. Trend tracker turned green there for Lux Algo. But ultimately, guys, I think that this is probably going to just kind of trend here in this channel for a variety of reasons. One of which is government subsidies in the oil industry to try to keep that down. But who knows? We could see something happen with OPEC or an escalation or de-escalation in the war in Ukraine that could have an impact on that, or China opening that could cause demand for it, which would send the price higher. So we shall see. But that oil is very important for the inflation story. We will continue to track that as it develops. Tim, did you want to update us on the Bollinger Bands?
Yeah, so go to my screen. There's reasons to believe we'll see a small reversal, at least the upside, to the sideways action. We got bullish divergence on the daily chart, technically speaking, with that flattening out. We got our Lux Algo oscillator saying buy, but that wick right there kind of does it. It's not very strong. With us being well within the Bollinger Bands, I actually kind of see this price action more floating sideways back to the 20 SMA. So it'll meet. Come on now. Grab my marker. Watch as the 20 continues to do like this. And the price maybe goes up a little bit right here and then falls again. And then watching, you're looking at this cloud, it's continuing to the downside. I think there's a decent chance that the RSI bounces back up and then comes back down again. That this is one of those things, even though we're overextended to the downside, this is a continuation to the downside. I'm not necessarily overly bullish on natural gas looking at this chart right here.
Gotcha. We appreciate it. Let's keep moving here on just our market open. And let me get me back in here. There we go. So the indexes are coming in at a sell-off, but it's pretty moderate. All of them down almost exactly 0.5 altogether in synchrony, which is kind of cool to see. And then let's go ahead into crypto and just kind of get a little quick check in on that. Even though Tim has done a pretty good job of covering crypto this morning, you're seeing Bitcoin make a resurgence. My Biddy trade not doing all that hot. I was definitely thinking that this would be taking off by now, and that is not the case, which is showing a lot of confidence in Bitcoin, of which I have a much larger position in. So we'll keep moving, guys. Atom leading the market here on my watch list, at least, up 2.5%. And then your lagger is going to be Matic, down 0.5%. Let's see. In the metal markets, kind of snoozing here in the early minutes of the New York session. Not a whole lot of movement, but generally up today, with gold leading up 0.6%. And your big tech companies kind of mixed. Not really moving in one direction or the other in synchrony, kind of probably trading on the run up to earnings here. So that's going to be in an individual basis because all these companies do different things. They provide different goods and services. So that is something to consider, though, guys, that the markets are going to move less in synchrony, at least on the hourly and daily charts, because we're moving into earnings season. So keep that in mind. But let's take a look at Tesla's chart, man, because it's been, so it's starting to rounding, and it actually has gotten a buy rating from LuxAlgo on a green trend tracker. So definitely something to consider there. It got that buy rating on the 17th. So that's pretty interesting. You can check out LuxAlgo in our description if you're liking what this indicator is showing. You can check it out and sign up there, and you definitely support our channel by doing that. Bond yields up, meaning you're starting to see a little bit of a sell-off today in bonds. Not too much though. And then cannabis down, and then your mid caps are also down, and your oil producers are down too. So interesting open to this morning. Let's get into the Jamie Dimon story here, guys, because it is pretty interesting here, and potentially a sign of what's to come for Bitcoin that the bottom may be in, as our thumbnail suggests. JP Morgan CEO slams Bitcoin as a hyped up fraud and pet rock. So look at him there. These are the thoughts coming from this man right here, who is the CEO of JP Morgan. So let's take a look. During an appearance on CNBC's Squawk Box on January 19th, which is today, so they got this article out quick, Dimon was questioned about his most recent stance on cryptocurrencies. In response, he asked the panel why they waste any breath discussing the subject before taking a dig at the flagship digital asset. Bitcoin itself is a hyped up fraud, a pet rock, he said. Although talking about the qualities of Bitcoin and ledger technology that JP Morgan thinks can be deployable as money, he questioned whether Bitcoin really is a store of value or as scarce as it is supposed to be. And then he said this is a perplexing quote too that you probably won't see as much today. How do you know Bitcoin is going to stop at 21 million blocks? Maybe it's going to get to 21 million and Satoshi's picture is going to come up and laugh at you all. A very bizarre prediction. It's just like seems like he's kind of scraping the barrel for some kind of bearish argumentation there. I've never heard anybody saying that. That's just a strange thing. So Tim, I want to throw it over to you because you have found some folks who've done some digging on Jamie Dimon and maybe kind of eroded his credibility as someone who should be talking about Bitcoin as a fraud.
Well, the first thing about Jamie Dimon is that he is a known deceiver. And what I mean by that, it's not just Jamie Dimon, to be fair. It's actually CEOs of JP Morgan, which is a very old company. It is a company known for CEOs saying one thing and doing completely different. Several lawsuits. But Jamie Dimon himself, go ahead and share my screen here, T-Shroom. Is this the right one? Yeah, okay. So this is an article. Look at this date right here. This is September 13th, 2017. By the way, September 12th, 2017, he is one of the first times that he called Bitcoin full out a fraud. So he called Bitcoin a fraud, and he says it's terrible and stuff back in 2017. But this article came out saying, how is the corrupt criminal not like Jamie Dimon not in prison for fraud? And it goes on to detail that in his 7 years, or I think he was there a little bit before that, but since the 2008 debacle, I'm going to show you guys what happened there. JP Morgan had been fined $28 billion. And Jamie Dimon is known to pretty much say, bring it on, and say, our company can handle it. Find me if you want. But this is a guy who, and it's not just $28 billion just because of little things here and there. It's for fraudulent activities. It actually goes on this article. So again, this is 2017. He's done more since then, but in quick search this morning, this is what I found. Toxic security abuses, $13 billion with 3 different accounts of it. Wow. Mortgage abuses, 2 different accounts, equating to $5 billion. Banking violations, $4 billion. 13 violations. Anti-money laundering deficiencies, $2 billion. False Claims Act, $600 million. And you can continue to read here over this list. But this is a man leading a company known to commit fraud, known to do these things all the time, and yet he just acts like it's nothing. And then he goes on to critique Bitcoin and say, all right, Bitcoin's a fraud, stay away from it. So this is, again, just an article pointing out the hypocrisy that a fraudster, alleged fraudster, because again, we don't want a defamation lawsuit, an alleged fraudster is calling fraud on Bitcoin is just absolutely ridiculous. But what's interesting, because of course, the reason we're talking about this is because he just called Bitcoin a fraud again.
Right.
There's an article from January of 2018. So this is just 4 months later. Jamie Dimon says he regrets calling the Bitcoin a fraud and believes in the technology behind it. Yes, he technically has some little things here and there where he says like, oh, like, there's some things I still am not really sure about, but he says right here, the blockchain is real. You can have cryptocurrency, dollars and yen and stuff like that, ICOs. You got to look at everyone individually, yada, yada, yada. The point is, he calls them a fraud in September. Mm-hmm. In January, turns on and says, I made a mistake. Yeah. My bad. Now again, he's done it several times in between, but we're seeing him call it a fraud again. What I thought was interesting, T-Shroom. Let me go back over to the Bitcoin chart.
Let's take it to the charts, baby. I got to take
some things down because I was, of course, using the Lux Algo. And
I love it when Tim does this. Tim will correlate these events with the chart and the price movement, and it's so good. It's so juicy.
All right, let's go all the way back here. This is September of 2017. So September 12th to be specific. Yes, we'd been in a bull market for a while, but September of 2017, right about here, is at a local bottom. So, okay, so that's going to be the date right there. Bitcoin had been rallying. It gets to this point right here, early September. Peaks, starts coming down, and right here towards this bottom, September 12th, he calls it a fraud. All right. This sends Bitcoin into almost a 500% increase. It ends up being about 400. Oh, no, it was 580. I don't know why I said that. Yeah, 580% increase. He calls them fraud, right? Well, guess where January's price is? Boom, right here. January 7th. This is what it's talking about here. He says, I regret calling them a fraud. That's the beginning of the bear market. We end up dropping here on Bitcoin after he makes these remarks. Oop, did not grab my tool correctly. We end up dropping 81% after that. Tim, what's the point here? Jamie Dimon is known to tell his clients, buy this, and then he sells it. He's known to say, oh, you do not want to get into that stock right now. It is terrible. To suppress the price so that he can buy it. Despite the fact that he has said publicly that his employees, if any of them trade Bitcoin, are going to be fired, they continue to make predictions, bullish predictions, all of his analysts, about what Bitcoin can do. And in fact, it goes even deeper. Of course, I'm not going to release names. I'm not going to say sources, but we have a friend who is in finance and has several friends that work in JP Morgan corporate, where he says it's actually a joke within their business. Jamie Dimon talks about it all the time. Jamie Dimon owns Bitcoin, first of all, himself, but also there is literally everyone there knows that Bitcoin is going to be good and they're all invested in it. The problem is, though, this goes back to the history of what JP Morgan does, is they screw over their clients because they want to make as much money as possible. They lie at certain times. And so to me, again, knowing that Jamie Dimon does own Bitcoin, that he constantly flip-flops talking about it positively and negatively, this to me is a sign of, again, kind of a bottoming out, almost is this confirmation that he's buying because this is what he does. He tells his clients, this is terrible, don't buy it, and then he gobbles it up because he knows these are low prices. Are we going to see him at the next bull market, when we're sitting up maybe closer, if not above 100,000, start going, oh yeah, Bitcoin is good. It's a good project. It's not fraud. It's here to stay. Yeah, I needed to learn a little more about it. And what he's actually doing is telling us, I'm about to sell. I'm about to take my profit, but you guys buy up my shares so that I can take profit and let this thing dip for a while. This whole thing is fishy. And again, there's a lot more. This rabbit trail that I found this morning was about a 20-minute research rabbit trail. It goes way deeper than this. Looking at the timelines of when he says certain things goes back to what I was mentioning a little earlier in the show. This is what Wyckoff teaches to look out for. Now, he teaches you look at everyone as a whole, but JP Morgan is such a large company, you could just look at stuff like what they're doing, what BlackRock is doing, and others, and say, all right, you can make a very good estimate on what the price action is going to do based off going the opposite of what they say, because that's what they're known for. Using Wyckoff teachings, you look for tops matched with good articles, like just these overwhelmingly bullish articles, and you say, all right, that is a sign. They're telling them to post that so that retail wants to buy. That's the peak. It's going to go ahead and dip back down. Same thing when you're looking at bottoms. And yes, on the daily chart, technically speaking, we got a little overextended. But when you're looking at like weekly chart, for example, go back to my screen here for a second. Let me pull my RSI here on the weekly chart. We've been overextended to the downside for a very long time. This is the chart that a lot of the, I'm looking at log chart too. Let me look at the linear chart. These are the types of charts that people at JP Morgan, BlackRock, and other large investors, they're looking at this weekly and monthly chart. They're seeing massive downside. They're seeing low RSI. Yes, we climb back up to the 50, and it's going to come back down, and that's just going to happen. They're looking at all this and saying, wow, great spot to buy. Let's post some FUD. Let's get some negative articles out there. Let's get one of our big guys, Jamie Dimon, saying, oh, this is a fraud, so that retail paired with, we just had the FTX news, which is terrible. They're going to now use the DOJ news from Bitzlato, and they're going to say, oh, look at the ways we can keep retail investors out of the space so that we can gobble up all the supply. This is classic composite man activity. And for those reasons, when I hear him say things like this, when I hear Jamie Dimon, and we know from personal relationships we have that he's an owner of Bitcoin, that he just outwardly lies to his clients, to me, this is a very, very bullish headline. And if used correctly, you guys continue to use signals like this to know when to buy and when to sell. T-Stream, you have a thought there? Yeah,
well, I was just going to say, back in last year, he said that there was going to be a hurricane that was going to hit the United States economy. And then recently, there was all these memes about it, him searching for the hurricane. He said, you better brace yourself. JP Morgan is bracing ourselves, and we're going to be very conservative with our balance sheet. So, and he said that on CNBC. And then on January 10th, we didn't cover this, but I noticed it in the headlines. He said, I shouldn't have ever used the word hurricane. Mm-hmm. So Jamie is he's known for just walking back these extreme takes on the market, and then later on apologizing and say, oh, I didn't mean it like that. Bitcoin's not a fraud. Oh, we're not going to actually have a hurricane in 2023. So anyway, we've got one more thing a couple more things I wanted to cover. But Tim, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I was trying to see, because I was reading this morning, but it's going to take me too long to find it. There was a quote, literally someone was quoting him. There's a time, one of the times he got fined, he literally says, go ahead and fine me. JP Morgan has enough money to cover it. That's the type of person that he is.
Gotcha.
But we can go ahead and move on.
Yeah, there's certain words for that kind of a person.
I saw in chat, so T-Baz, I believe. Let me try to find where he said it. I think he said he worked for JP Morgan. Yeah, actually, so T-Baz said, I worked for JP Morgan for 11 years, and this is all. And then he gave a thumbs up emoji.
Yeah.
So
11 years. Wow. That's quite a dedication.
Yeah. Go ahead. So
and look, I mean, Tim has his opinion, and I 98% agree with it. But the other thing too is JP Morgan. I mean, JP Morgan is such a big bank. The majority of what they're doing is not. It's definitely not fraud. And it's not illegitimate. It's just the people at the very tippity top of that very large organization are sometimes full of crap. Well, let's go ahead and check out something that isn't full of crap, and that's the Fear and Greed Index, which has ticked back into fear. It's just something to keep aware of. It did peak though into 52 range, which is neutral yesterday, but it is back into fear. You can take a look on the charts what that looked like there. So it wouldn't take much for us to get back into a new high. get up above 52. But let's see, the high, 45. So this is a subjective science. This isn't, nobody's trading this. This is all algorithmically produced by alternative.me.com. Let's check out also the CME future Fed tool, which if I refresh that, still pricing in a 33% likelihood of a 0 rate hike in February 1st. So really, really interesting stuff there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the March one, although the calculations are not going to be able to do in my head, so never mind.
Go down to it. What does it say?
So it says for the March hike,
scroll back up one more time, and because we can look at those numbers really quick. Go back up to this month's February's.
Yeah.
All right. So it is saying already. So go back down. 475 to 5. It's already saying 60% chance of another 25 basis point hike.
Okay.
A lot can change there, especially as we continue to grow with the predictions for this February one being a 0. I think 25 is going to happen. There's just an outside chance. It's more like looking at that the prediction for 0 is going to bleed over into the prediction for February. It's going to have a lot to do with what he says and, of course, what inflation numbers look like. Mm-hmm. I still am of the opinion, I think, unless something changes, he's been very adamant, Jerome Powell, that he wants to get above that 5. So let's go ahead. And he says we need to be there for a while. So I'm almost of the opinion, let's go ahead and get that pain out of the way. Let's get up there, hang there for a couple of months. And then I think at the end of the year, Q4, we might see one, not just pause. He's going to get up to 5.1, and then he's going to go sideways. He's going to pause. And then maybe October, December, somewhere in that region, we see a 25 basis point cut leading into some more cuts happening in 2024. Mm-hmm. That's if we can keep inflation down. Of course, we talked about that also, that some of the inflation numbers have been a little misleading. So again, I'm not an expert. I need to see what ends up happening, but I have my doubts that inflation is as under control as some people want to believe that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's pretty much gonna tie it all together here, guys. Yeah, you'll be getting the Japanese inflation print later today at 1830, which is what, 6:30. So be looking out for that. That's not going to be hugely impactful to the markets, I would expect, unless you're trading Japanese currencies or Japanese bonds. Then it will be very impactful. Fed Collins, it was speaking at 9, so you may see some fireworks out of that, although that probably is baked into the market by now. Well, that's going to wrap up today's show. Not necessarily as much hard-hitting stuff, but I wanted to jump into that Jamie Dimon stuff. Very interesting. Potential bottom, but things to keep your eyes on. Guys, we will see you tomorrow. It'll be the last show of the week. It'll be Friday. But that does not mean that crypto doesn't have a very bright future. I think we're going to be seeing a little bit of a dip. I think we're going to be dipping here very soon, but it could be a better long-term bullish move for everyone. Make sure you stay posted for more content just like this on your way out. We still got 10 people watching that have not smashed that mitten button. That is the like button for those of you who are new. And if you are new and you have not done it already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel for more up-to-date content when it comes to cryptocurrency, when it comes to stock market, breaking down the news, looking at the technicals, and looking at the charts. So make sure you guys are a part of every step of the way with here in the Investing Bros. Guys, we love all of you, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.